The economy is stronger than ever.
What does that even mean? Bruv, I'm broke right now. What do you mean the economy is stronger than ever?
So they look at the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq when they say the economy.
What's that?
It's basically a collection of major company stocks. When those rise, it signals that companies and the economy are doing well.
Whoa, it's rising so much.
It's because companies have made more profit than ever before.
Whoa, Apple made $94 billion of profit? These companies are making so much money. Why isn't that money going to its employees?
Okay, let's measure the profits going to employees. In other words, labor share.
Wait, can you explain that again?
Okay, so here's an example. In 1980, Delta Airlines made $3 billion. $1.16 billion went to its employees. In other words, 39.3% of revenue went to its employees. Then, in 2024, they made $61 billion. Of that, $16 billion went to its employees, which means only 26.2% of the revenue went down to its employees.
But that's just one example. That doesn't mean anything.
This metric is called labor share. The Social Security Administration uses all the tax it collects and calculates the labor share in the whole country. The labor share, if you look at the entire population, has stayed fairly flat. But if you look at the labor share for the bottom 90% of the employees, it's gone down by 9%.
Sus.
See, we're getting poorer by the minute.
I'm not sure why that is. Let's do some research.
I know why. It's because companies are greedy.
Maybe the employees just aren't as productive.
That can't be. This is a graph of productivity versus average wage.
That's odd. Something must have happened around 1980s.
Is it like this around the world?
Yeah, in most developed countries, the labor share is declining.
Oh my god, that's like totally a big deal. What's the sitch?
Finally, I was hoping someone would ask that, my perspicacious pink fellow. It's singularly due to the fact that we live in a world of monopolies.
Bro, not this again.
Fool! Do you not know that Google owns 94% of the entire search market? 94%!
That's not poggers.
And the cloud, AWS, Azure, and Google together control 70% of it. Beverage companies, Coke and Pepsi alone own 85% of everything you drink.
Even juice?
Yes, even the juice.
No, not my gamer juice.
But what about the media?
Disney, Comcast, Warner, Paramount, and HBO own 90% of everything you watch. Wake up, you sheeple. Banking? Just 4 firms. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, and Wells Fargo hold 45% of the entire banking sector. And don't even get me started with accounting. The Big Four do 99.7% of all audits. The meat industry? 4 companies process 82% of US beef.
But surely not the music. Dude, what about the music, dude?
3 record labels, Universal, Sony, Warner, own 70% of all global music rights.
No, not my dope tunes getting NPC'd.
And get this, these 7 companies now make up 37% of the entire S&P 500. This means we don't live in a free market. We live in a monopolized one.
I don't understand. Why is this bad?
I'm glad you asked, dear. Why? It's all because these secret societies...
Okay, enough from you. You're not even in this class. I figured out why labor share is declining. It is, in fact, a matter of market concentration. When competition is limited, firms possess neither the pressure nor the incentive to distribute their excess profit to consumers. It's rather elementary economics, really.
I still don't get it, bud. Why is having a few companies bad?
Okay, so Amazon a few years ago were fighting to hire people fast. So they raised their minimum wage to $15 an hour. And boom, Walmart, Target, FedEx, all of them followed just to keep up.
So competition made things better, right?
But only for a while, because then Amazon built massive fulfillment centers in certain towns, and suddenly they were the only major employer around. They destroyed the competition. Once that happened, the wage war ended. They didn't have to compete anymore because there was no one left to compete with. In those counties, warehouse workers used to earn about the same as an average worker. Now, they make about 18 to 30% less than the local average.
Wait, hold up. Even though Amazon used to pay $15 an hour?
Yep, because when one company becomes the company, it doesn't need to pay more. It sets the price.
That's what happens when competition disappears. Workers don't get rewarded for being valuable. They get paid whatever the biggest player decides they're worth.
So it's not about being a bad company. It's just too much power in one place.
Exactly. The free market stops being free when there's only one buyer left.
But like, are you sure? Because I'm totes loving having my makeup delivered to my doorstep.
There's decades of research to prove this.
Nah, that's cap.
In 1992, people started to notice that the labor share is declining. As you can expect, this came as a shock to most economists.
As a result, throughout the 90s, there were some studies on the subject. They found that the decline began in the 70s and started accelerating in the 80s.
In the 2000s, it became a significant focus of research, leading to millions of economists around the world to hypothesize the actual cause. As research continued, scientists started ruling out the factors that didn't hold up then. In the 2010s, they noticed that this was occurring around the world. Finally, after a decade of research by millions of economists, the academic consensus was that the decline in labor share is a multifaceted phenomenon, driven mostly by market concentration. In the last 2 decades, the most persuasive paper was by David Autor in 2019. David had an idea. He said that there exist superstar firms, which are more productive than the average firm. He predicted that these superstars will slowly gain a majority of the market share and gobble up the competition. They will also have a lower labor share than their competitor. His team then went through data sets from around the world. After going through all the data sources, they found results that matched their expectations. They noticed industries with higher market concentration had larger decline in labor share. They noticed the decline was between firms and not within firms. This paper has been cited thousands of times and re-examined with various data sets.
Why did it start in the 80s? Wasn't this totally a thing since like forever?
Oh, it's actually because of antitrust.
Oh yeah, I totally know a thing or two about antitrust. It ruined all my Minecraft runs.
I don't think we're on the same page, bud.
Oh, never mind that. What even is this antitrust thing?
Antitrust is a set of laws and regulations specifically designed to promote fair competition. Basically, they would prevent monopolies by preventing big company mergers. They would heavily fine companies for unfairly bullying competitors, meaning the prevention of monopolies, collusion, predatory pricing, and exclusionary practices. However, most of these laws were eroded in the 70s.
So if we look at the Amazon playbook, how would it change the outcome if antitrust still existed?
So if antitrust law still existed, then Amazon would have gotten fined for dumping. Dumping is when companies set prices to below their cost price.
But isn't that Gucci? My broke self would love lower prices.
It would be, but they only lower them temporarily until their competition is defeated. Wait, I have an example. There was a small business called diapers.com. They sold baby supplies in their online store. They were actually doing really well. Like, parents loved them, and so did babies, obviously. But then Amazon came in. They slashed the diapers below manufacturing costs, even lost their own money, just to force diapers.com out of business. Diapers.com couldn't keep up. By that point, they were burning cash just to survive. Eventually, they just gave in and sold to Amazon in 2010. And then, later, when there was no competition left, Amazon started selling diapers at an even higher price, and consumers had no choice but to buy them overpriced.
That's so not cool. Man, why would they do that?
Well, I'm sure it's because of... Wait, over there.
Look at this! You're not gonna believe what I just found. I was looking at why antitrust has mostly been eroded over time, and I found out it's because rich people bribed our government to destroy antitrust. Okay, calm down. When I first Googled it, it showed that in late 1960, an economist professor at the University of Chicago challenged the US antitrust law by arguing that the antitrust enforcement at the time was incoherent and harmful to competitive markets. The story goes that policymakers, judges, presidents used this study to make policies that were more in line with our understanding of economic principles. But it's all a lie. In 1980, a year after the paper was published, people started to push back against the view. And within a few years, there was a consensus in academia that antitrust laws should be enforced. In 1980, there was a post-Chicago view stating how antitrust enforcement is beneficial to society.
What? No way.
Okay, but let's be thorough. Did you find anyone more credible with a similar opinion?
Yes, of course. This study done by Filippo Lancieri and Luigi Zingales, they published a paper in 2023 in which they found polls on public perception on antitrust.
All right, you've got my attention. Let's do a deep dive. They went through presidential speeches and observed how often presidents would discuss antitrust. They also went through presidential executive orders, looked at FTC and DOJ funding for tackling illegal cases, and found out how often company mergers were rejected due to the government's involvement. They then examined Supreme Court nominations and how those influenced judicial decision-making.
Big business drove a steady decline in antitrust enforcement against the public will to benefit itself. While we have no smoking gun, the evidence we collected provides more support to the second hypothesis than the first. Big business co-opted and promoted the Chicago school's thinking because it advanced its interest.
Okay, so you're absolutely correct.
Glad we could come to an agreement.
Oh, sorry. I dozed off. What happened?
So basically, the reason why CEOs are making billions while we make nothing is because of market concentration.
Market concentration that has been creeping up since the 1980s due to the erosion of antitrust.
Yes. Don't forget how evil monopolies are and how we're all controlled by
Big business has eroded antitrust by basically bribing the government. Not cool.
Okay, you know the drill, class. Now that we've understood and discussed the problem, what do you all think the solution could be?